सीरीज क्यों नहीं बनाते हैं? चैप्टर सीरीज 1 सीरीज 2 वही करना पड़ेगा ना, ब्रेक कर करके. What's the story behind
The name.
The story behind the name or the name behind the story.
How jumping came about was something which was very spontaneous. It also brings in that element.
Always
of work,
excited, right?
fun.
Always spontaneous and happy and fun. That's the core idea.
And I think one of the things that about goose or geese, I would say, they fly in that aerodynamic shapes, right? So the moment they do that, so there is no constant leader out here. So the one who is out there, kind of after a lot of taking up a lot of wind on the chest, kind of gets fatigued and then they change. So it's kind of queuing up. So the next in the line will take up the lead, and then once that leader gets fatigued, and then that.
Yeah, so the whole idea was to not build hierarchy. Over the years also, we have tried to not keep hierarchy too much, keep it to the basic level, because we have always believed in the power of co-creation, right? So the initial idea and concept has always been that everyone comes together and we deliver awesomeness together.
To be very honest, I mean, it's not like earlier it used to be okay, the number of experience actually define who should actually be the leader. It's kind of over the years, it's completely changed. The youngest of the brains are the brightest ones at times who are able to lead. So, the other day, me and Midun were chatting about it. Like the next chapter of how we got thrown into
Entrepreneurship.
yeah. So basically, JG, what was the idea of JG and all that? And we were generally chatting up. And ekdam suddenly you have that nostalgia, right? What was that dosa point we used to?
It was Puja Dosa camp where we used to hang around.
I know.
And we had a lot of idlis and dosas there, and we used to like brainstorm how do we start, what do we do.
Actually, yeah, right. So, I mean, a couple of things also just crop up, no? How do you we used to just sit there and say, okay, yaar, matlab, these are the ills of the corporates, and how do we things that we do not really align to in terms of, and at that point in time, when you say creative, it means, okay, either you belong to the advertising world. Design was very nascent. So, obviously, I mean, with a lot of these things, and obviously our own fears, because none of us, neither you nor me, we used to come from a business background.
Yeah.
So I think those. So if you ask me if we were to start off all over again, I would love to do that. So,
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
So I think 2012 is when we did one of the earlier projects with
CCD.
CCD. Yeah.
Yes. And White House was our first client
client,
we
yeah.
started working with. We did campaigns and branding and range design for them.
Right. And 2012, we practically we reached out to, and Myntra was not Myntra, and then we used to kind of do some cold pitches, go out to them, and
Yeah.
it was shaping up, right?
Absolutely. In fact, I think we did some 13 meetings before we were signed up
yeah.
for Myntra. That was, and we are like, what's happening, right? We are pitching and pitching and pitching.
Absolutely.
And where is this going? Yeah.
I think 2012, 13, 12, in fact 13 when they started building up the brands, and then we said, okay, and somebody told me, I don't want to call out the names, but very interestingly they said, they are doing something on online and all of that. Who buys online? Nothing's going to happen on online. And this is way back again in 2012 end, when we were actually planning to kind of scale up, build the brands and all of that. I mean, now that we've been about 15 years old into the industry from an agency perspective, now we can really kind of disclose that that there was a time when we used to kind of, we were just two of us and we didn't have a team. So obviously no budgets, low on clients and all of that. But whenever we were pitching to our clients and falling back to our, our network and stuff, people would want to usually come over, okay, we will meet up at your office and all of that.
We just needed headcounts those days. So our friends used to come over and sit around and increase our headcount, right? When clients used to come and meet us, that was really fun. That's how we started building from those days to a team today, which is quite integrated. But the journey has been really amazing that ways, and the early days were really exciting for us. in
But I
terms
really,
of
I really want to call that out, you know, so that there is no misconception of what we wanted to kind of. So it was not about deception, but it's more about perception building. Because on the contrary, if one way to look at it is, कि, oh, the team did not belong there, but it was just because the two of us were there. So it was, if you show 5 people, the client expects that 5 people will work on my brand, which means at the end of the day, it's just you and me working for 18 hours, 20 hours, delivering work equivalent to those 5 people, because that's the promise we've made to the client.
Absolutely.
So I think that actually set up the whole cultural aspect of how passionately you get involved without, you know, counting the number of hours, getting to do, making those shifts. We could only survive those days because we were at pace with how Mintra was fast evolving, shaping up. Yeah, so building the team, building the portfolio, building variety of clients, all of that was obviously important, and that led us to 2020, which was
the pandemic year. Yeah. 2020 was bad for everyone, including us. But it was a blessing in disguise. I remember that, you know, prior to 2020, 2-3 years back, we started pivoting. We started moving away from apparel and lifestyle only to other industries, to newer verticals that we started working. And we were right there at the nick of time, by God's grace, to take it up.
Yeah, I think what it did was 2020, and I would say कि yes, it's not a time that anybody would want to remember because of a lot of emotional, physical damage that it did to people. But on the business front and on our personal, professional growth, I think it value added a lot because you know, you got a lot of time to introspect, retrospect on things. A lot of closer team building activities happened, and also most importantly, we were closed for 2023 months.
Yeah.
And then we used to, because everybody was itching, okay, we don't want to operate out of home, and you know, that's the beauty of, you know, creative people coming together, that you cannot really, you want those rub-offs to happen, and therefore a space like this, which actually just kind of, you know, brings people together into the one room, and you can actually do boom room again and again, like conversations like that kind of builds together.
Absolutely. I also remember that during those tough times for us, the team stood by us.
Absolutely.
We were very lucky that we were in a position because of our team and clients that we didn't even have to fire a single person those days, right? Where companies were shutting down, and everyone come together and came together and made this happen to, you know, take things ahead from there.
I think a lot of companies, and I would want to really, maybe, you know, the likes of Tata's and a lot of other companies, including Myntra and everybody, they stood by us.
Quicksilver.
Yeah, Quicksilver at that point. So a lot of brands actually came together to kind of say, okay, we've worked for so many years with us, and the kind of relationships that we actually built over the years was so meaningful that, you know, in those periods also they said, we will, you know, maybe lay a little low, but at the same point in time have you onboarded and not really pause the play. The post-pandemic piece, which is almost about 2020 to 26, kind of, you know, shaped a lot of thinking. Also, we became a lot more cautious that, you know, something as unexpected as this could actually hit, while everybody was taken aback by what happened. But definitely, you know, a young company like that, you know, almost about 8-10 years into the industry, with a lot of, you know, team by their side and all of that, absolutely bootstrapped, right, in all perspectives till today, and with absolutely zero marketing spent on this thing.
So that's the funny thing about us. We keep marketing other brands, but we have really not marketed ourselves. Obviously, with times changing, we are doing it now, but we have always believed in the initial years that the best marketing tool is word of mouth, and yeah, I mean, it's a magic that it has worked for us all these years. Yeah, without zero marketing. So all our clients' initial days until now are mostly referrals, and that's because we have always believed in creating experiences. We have believed in doing the best we can in this moment. Our internal mantra is to, always believe that we are as good as our last project, and we continue to do that.
Absolutely. And I think what one of the strongest realizations that actually came about was that I think the company needed a little shake-up. The way we got until from 2011 August to 2020 was not the same manner we could actually race forward. So I think a lot of structural changes also happened. So if you look at the Jumping Goose website, it's quite nicely, clearly laid out. But in order to kind of set the context, so Jumping Goose today stands as a award-winning global house of creative and strategic design agencies. And how we do that is across 6 business divisions, which we kind of very thoughtfully designed, right from the IP to the ideation to the sustenance of any brand in terms of the entire brand journey. Kind of each of these 6 divisions actually take care of all of those things, right? And this is how we kind of it's where people or companies with the most amount of funding struggle to survive for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 7 years. I think, like you said, right? I think it's a blessing in disguise to kind of keep ourselves afloat in a bootstrap manner for the last 15 plus years. So in some manner, we also believe that there is something at least that we guys are doing right. If not all, but at least some things are there that we are doing it right, so that and people are believing in us from a manner that culturally, from a work perspective, while it might be the coolest space here, but I think the way we also present ourselves with the kind of discipline, commitment, consistency that we bring on board for the external world, for industries, because the focus is again, the idea of having these divisions is the focus is on the business impact that we want to create. And not just for the industry, but also for the talent that we actually bringing on board. So today, if you go to the website and you see there are about what I think 2,100 plus projects that we guys have delivered till date, maybe about 400 or 300-400 clients that we have worked with. I mean, national, international, 10 countries that we work with. See, because we are obviously talent, people intensive, like we said, right? And we are not picking up, we are choosing not just about people, but also the kind of projects that we pick up and the kind of relationships that we build. So anything that is coming our way is not something that we pick up, right? And this is not because we've grown over the years, but it was the idea when we started off. It has remained constant. That is one constant that we have built, right? And investing in people is something that every organization does. And the biggest challenge on hand today is the retention of that talent. And how do you retain talent? There is a body of institutions who are doing great job on academic side of it. But then a lot of times, I personally feel that it just gets limited to industry readiness on sales brochures. But actually, because when we came into the industry, the problem was the same. What we were taught is not exactly what the industry is seeking. So just imagine, I mean, it's been 23 years between us, and I mean, not between us each. So it's 46 years between the two of us. So almost about 23 years, the things haven't really changed as much. The processes have changed, exposures have changed, the style of teaching might have changed, but curriculum still remains, kind of a mismatch. It's not 100% out there. So I think that is one of the biggest struggles for us, and that's where the hiring becomes important, the gatekeeping becomes important. What we do with our talent here becomes extremely important, and these are the kind of questions that after 15 years and 20 with the agency and 23 years in the industry, that now you start feeling that is there some way that we can actually bring about some change into the way things have been functioning for decades. And I think that is where it led us to the 3rd chapter of our journey. We'll come to that.